Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by Steve.
Hey Bob.
Dave. And we just finished playing The Mind, which is a very strange game about essentially playing cards. So everyone has a hand of cards, depending on the level. So we're on level 3 here, so everyone gets dealt 3 cards. And the objective of the game is to simply play all the cards. You see there's a massive deck here. It's all the cards numbered from 1 to 100. So I've only got 3 of these. And we've cooperatively got to play these cards into the middle of the table in ascending order from the lowest to the highest. But you're allowed no communication whatsoever. So if we kind of go through an example round, I'll explain how it works. The rules stipulate that before you start, you should all place a hand on the table to synchronize, sort of psychically, your thoughts so that you can communicate like that. And then we remove our hands, and then we begin playing. And look, oh my goodness, my 3's really low, so I'm going to play it quickly before anyone else does. Now, I'm not actually allowed to say anything, but I'm going to give you a running overview. At this point, we're thinking, well, yeah, now if you look at my next card, it's a while away, so I'm going to wait here. No one's playing. Oh, Dave's going to play. Is it? No, we're not sure. Oh, he's played. Oh, crumbs, my next one's quite soon. I need to play it. Now, if somebody plays a card that's too high... Oh, that's higher than my card, so I have to shout stop. So the only time you can actually have any communication at all is if someone plays higher than you, you shout stop, and everyone discards any card that's lower than the card that was too high, and you lose a life. These sort of psychedelic bunnies represent lives, and if you lose all your lives, you're out. But then we would sort of resynchronize, and we start again, and we carry on, and effectively you just keep playing until you manage to play all your cards. Hopefully the guys can manage this. I think we've got 1 card each. Come on, you can do it. Now, you see they're waiting. This is probably because they've got a big gap between the current 80 that's in the middle. Steve looks like he's going to play. Yes! So we would succeed at level 3, and at this point, because we succeeded, we get a little reward, which in this case is another bunny, so we kind of get a life back, which is great. And then we would go on to level 4, where we all get dealt out 4 cards. Now, the only other thing to this is the shurikens. If you want to, like, you say you're in the middle, and you're like, oh, this is really tricky, I think there's several people who might have cards close to mine or something, then you can raise a hand. And if you look around and if everybody chooses to agree and they all raise a hand, then we spend our shuriken and everybody discards their lowest card, sort of without penalty. So I would take my 50 and discard it. You just put them out like this. And that actually gives you a bit of information about what cards other people have got, but then you kind of resynchronize. At least we like to resynchronize. And then we begin again. And now that's quite helpful because I know, for instance, no one's going to have anything lower. So Dave won't have anything lower than 72. And we carry on playing like that. So you carry on going, depending on the number of players, until you reach the max level. So with 4 players, if you manage to succeed at level 8, you win the game. If you manage to lose all your bunnies, though, you're out. What do we think?
This reminds me of the game where you are limited in how much you can communicate. It is a cooperative game. In the game, you're just not allowed to mention what specific things you've got in your hand. Here, you just can't communicate at all. And depending on the group you've got, kind of your group has their own moral guideline about what is okay and what is not. Here we seem to allow the kind of slow eking away out of your hand, which I imagine technically is sort of communicating. It means you've got a number close to what's there. So whether you allow that, we think that's fine, but any actual verbal communication is not. It's such a unique game, and every time you play with a different set of 4, so here 3 of us have played before, although I've never played with Dave, I've never played with Jonathan before. 3 of us have actually played before, and Abom hadn't. He was going so fast, we were like, whoa, killing us, and we actually lost a go. Once we kind of he started slowing down a bit, we speed up a bit, we kind of get on the same level, which every time I've played you invariably do. The first few games you're like, so many teething problems, but then you sync, you get this communicate, group communication, and the tension kind of rises as you've got a hand. And only when you get a big gap does it break the communication. So you've got it, you're on it, and all of a sudden no one's got a card within the next 20 numbers, and all of a sudden you're all nervous again. That's when you might start to vote.
Abel?
It's a fun game to play a few times. You want to try it just to see what it's like, hopefully with someone else's deck where you've got quite a few numbers. But after you played it a few times, you get a little bit bored. It's a little bit samey. Also, you can just get people who are just slow and falling asleep, and you're just like, it's not going to do anything. It was okay. It was okay.
Dave?
I find it a lot of fun. I like, you probably play it with lots of groups, but it gets very tense, and you're just like, I really want to play this card, but I think he's got, it's a lot of fun. Good to play with any group, but yeah, once you've played it with one group and you're synchronized, you probably can't play it a lot with the same group. That's what I'd say with the problem with it.
Rating?
8 out of 10.
Okay. Abel?
I'd only give it a 6.5, but it is worth playing once.
Okay. Steve?
I think it's great. I'll second with Dave. Same group once, effectively. It's not really a game. It's more of an activity which has a win condition, effectively. Given that, I think it's great. 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, it's certainly unusual, and it's one of those, I would say, don't knock it till you've tried it. It is quite a remarkable experience because you just think there's no game here, there's no communication at all allowed, so you just sort of sit there. What are we doing? But then after a while you're like, oh yeah, clearly a 12 should be played a lot earlier than a 20, for example. And so you start to get this idea of timing, and then as Steve says, you gradually start to synchronise, and there are quite a lot of bumps in the road, so to speak, when you first get going with a new group. But as you start to iron them out, there's this moment where it all clicks and you kind of play through a sequence of very close cards, all in the right order. It's like, yes, this is amazing. I do agree with Avon though. I think it's got limited replayability. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I can't see myself playing it a lot though. You know, in a few years' time, I probably won't be playing it again. But it's certainly something to try with people who've never tried it before. If I was to go away with a new group, this is something I'd definitely want to bring out. It's a very interesting group bonding experience, I think. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was The Mind.